In terms of, it feels like a buffering issue. Nobody's in focus, and the video is jumping around like that. It's not streaming.
We're fine. Everything's fine on our end, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Wow, Andrew, nice one.
I mean,
Working.
I think you feel like you need to look at us.
I need to see Uncle Normie.
Jonathan, I miss you, and we spent a lot of time getting drunk together. Do we not?
I actually am having trouble understanding your audio as well.
So, really?
Yeah, I can't understand you. It's one thing to not see you.
Talk to the mic. Talk into the mic.
Into this mic.
Into that mic.
Norman, you can hold it.
You can hold it.
Pick it up.
Come on. Pick up the mic. The mic.
This mic.
Talking.
Oh, I was.
The mic.
Is that better? Jonathan, is that better?
Yes, that is better, actually.
Oh, okay, well, okay, into the mic. Thank you. Do you want to start out? Do you want to begin by singing some stuff from Shenandoah?
The pickers are coming, the pickers are coming, we won't have to summon a one. The fruit's on the vine now, it's sweeter than wine now. So ripe in the September sun. How's that?
That's perfect. Sandy no. So give us, come on, tell us what's going on. What do you do? What's next for Jonathan Frakes?
I've returned to the 24th or 23rd century on Seth MacFarlane's show, which is a comic version of Star Trek, and on the more serious Star Trek Discovery, which is a prequel to the Kirk years. So for some reason, after 30 years of doing this, I'm back in space. I'm not quite sure how that happened.
That's exactly where you should be. You look very happy. You look even more handsome than I recall.
Yeah, so do you.
But
you look younger.
So, I have 2 grandchildren now. So
I know you do.
Very...
Una.
Huh?
Una.
And Lewin.
And Lou?
Una and Lewin. Lewin.
Lewin.
Lewin. Lewin.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Boy and a girl. So, impart some wisdom to us. You know, you've been with us, and we wish you were back. This year we're doing a film about the Blacklist, the Red Scare.
Yes.
And we're shooting where we shot OSS. We're shooting most of it out at LRU Post,
That's
which is going to be great. Yeah.
It's very user friendly out there.
Yeah, there's one scene that you shot out there with the Japanese man, if you recall. Just remember that it was just beautiful. Oh, we had the same.
Well, I thought we did well with that dinner scene with our. That was the scene under the tree you're talking about. That was gorgeous.
Yeah.
That was stolen though. That was a stolen shot from Mr. Spielberg.
That's okay. Good
Always
person.
look for the best. There's the good advice.
Good person. Okay. So is that it? Should we wrap it up?
And another piece of advice: when in doubt, shoot low and wide.
I love it. Oh, we're
furniture.
This group is about to take off. One more semester after this, and then they're out in the world.
Yeah, try to find another profession.
But impart some knowledge, and please. No, I mean, what's your take on the? Obviously you're busier than you've ever been, right?
Well, actually not. I'm very blessed to have these new shows because, how should I put this? ageism is a very real part of my life. The diversity hire has become a mandate and no longer a suggestion. So if you happen to be a woman of color, it's a very good time to be in the business. If you happen to be an old Jewish gentleman, it's not so good.
Are you talking to me? I'm in the
I'm
theater
talking
now, so I don't
referring
care.
to me and you.
You're not.
You're an old Jew
When did you become a Jew?
in my soul.
Thank you. No, that's a very interesting sentiment. But I think obviously youth is still at a premium, and we got what we call youth here,
You got the two youths.
and platforms. I mean, I think this is an especially wonderful time to be considering a career in the media, in business.
I will say, all levity aside, it's a great time to be a
What do you
writer.
call it?
The writers have power. There were last year, I believe, 400 scripted shows. They're all looking for stories. They're all looking for staff, and it is the most powerful position in television. Maybe not so much in movies, but in television, without a shadow of a doubt, it's the most powerful position.
No, I mean, and you're going to go back to librarian this year?
I'm sorry?
Are you doing librarian again?
I'm going to do the librarians if we're picked up. That's the other thing. We are waiting to air on December 13th. And as you know, 2, 3, 4 episodes, then the network, who is inclined to not like our show because it's a new boss, which is part of the reality. Michael Wright no longer runs TNT, and it was his show, so they want to have ownership of their own shows. But the numbers on that show have been good enough, and Dean Devlin, who produces it, finances the show out of his own company. So it's a good bet, and I'm hoping that that comes back and fills in the year with that and the other shows. But television is the place to be now.
Yep. Thank you. And the other thing that I keep harping on for these kids is that I feel they'll be better writers if they in New York. Eventually, everybody's going to go out to Los Angeles and for one period or another. I really want to encourage. I just think so much more life. Well, listeners, so we know what's going on here, and sure, California's great, and you can work out there, but you can work here too. This studio that you've been at, Steiner, is now expanding to, I think, 25 stages. So there must be something going on here.
Yeah, it's very true. There's also there are too many people in Los Angeles, and there are too many who want to be in show business in Los Angeles. And ultimately, very few shows are made in Los Angeles anymore.
Right.
I do one show there, and everything else I do is out of town.
Well,
also, if you guys are already in New York, your contacts are going to be in New York. The contacts you can make will probably be in New York.
No, I mean, I'm a big proponent of this. My niece is doing a show. You did Get Carter.
Mm-hmm. It's called Finding Carter.
She's doing a show now on Disney called Andy Mack in California, but shot in Utah.
Yeah.
So you're right. Where are you going to be this year? What location? You going to be in Vancouver again?
Vancouver, Toronto, and Portland, Oregon. And usually I end up in Atlanta on one show. Atlanta's got, I think, 20 television shows going, and all the Avengers movies are Atlanta.
Yeah, that's become a real production set. But I'm going to open it up. Anybody who has any questions, let's hear it. But Jonathan, I mean, do you have something you want to say is that they will take away from this other than can you give me a job?
Without blowing too much smoke up your ass, I think you guys are very lucky to be in the room with the writer you're with and the man you're with. I would, in spite of his sarcasm and incredible bitterness and lack of height, his track record and his resume and his writing is wonderful. And I always, every time I work there with you guys, with Norman on these shows, I felt not only lucky to be around this energy, but also that the people who were lucky enough to be in this workshop with Norman have been given a great gift that they may not get at NYU or USC or Northwestern, where the teachers have the hands-on experience that Mr. Steinberg does. So treat him with respect. Well,
read exactly what I asked you to read.
exactly. I've got to write it on the computer.
A good reading. And you're still working as an actor, right?
I wish. Just in that last 5 minutes I did, but prior to that, no.
Well, I'm going to call you when we start doing our musical.
I'm ready.
School for Scandal.
What about the Johnny Dangerously musical?
What's that?
What about the Johnny Dangerously musical?
That's next.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll do all. We're gonna work together. Jonathan and I, a film together, which someday we will.
Yes.
We talk to Dean about that, please. Let's have some questions
Tomorrow.
All right, go ahead. This is Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Talk in the mic. This is Chris.
Hi. So you've directed a couple of our projects before, and we're getting into production right now. We're in post-production, but we're really getting into it really soon. Kind of like pitfalls you've seen that we could possibly like prepare for during production itself.
That's a great question. I found that and I'm assuming it may be a mistake, that the same process is in place, that each of you are being given jobs.
I'm locations. I'm locations. So if you have any specific advice for that too, would be good.
We didn't have too much trouble with locations because we lied to the people, which is good. And it's got to have cash as a location manager. You got to, what's that called?
Yeah.
What's that called when you peel the money off and you put them in the palm of their hands and say, "We're just going to be here for an hour"? Isn't that how?
Hello, Brian.
The locations, especially if you're going to shoot out at the other campus.
We're doing everything at post.
If everything is controlled, we had a little run-ins with traffic control sometimes in Brooklyn. But if you have planned ahead and have signed contracts, that department shouldn't struggle. I will say that on both movies that Norman and I did together, there was a certain learning curve about the crafts, camera, wardrobe, sound, production design, props. It becomes very clear why people dedicate their careers to certain jobs, and to be asked to do it as you all are being asked to do it on this movie. It's a pretty quick and hard and sharp learning curve. test the equipment first. Make sure. Are you guys on the same camera? Of course, you have Larry.
Larry.
Yeah.
Larry's with
And
me.
what about sound?
Who's on sound?
Me.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mic, Alex.
No,
Here's a-
we had sound issues.
That's a great.
We got better equipment now. We bought a brand new camera. We have better
Hi,
sound.
yeah, the sound guy.
Hey, sound guy, good luck.
Yeah. We have a whole lot of equipment, a whole lot of stuff. It's just a matter of learning how to use something.
But don't you start shooting in January? So as familiar as you can get, and it's a great opportunity, and the setup is great, and the teamwork aspect of it is spectacular. But I don't know how to run. We used to call it Nagra. I don't know what it is now. I don't know how to run digital sound, and I trust somebody to do it. And the same with balancing the light and pulling the focus. It's an engineering and science meets art. And the
Yeah,
more
I know. I have
familiar,
to learn about frequency and stuff.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
get familiar, and then you won't be nervous on the set, and they won't all be turning their heads and looking at you and say, "What the fuck? What the fuck happened?" You don't want that.
Oh God, I already know what's gonna happen. I'm so worried.
No, he'll be fine. He's fine. He's
Yeah.
fine. I'm not worried about any of these people. So,
Hey, Norman.
yeah.
Norman.
Let's see. Go ahead.
Norman.
What issues did you experience on set?
I'm sorry.
What kind of
Now I've lost you altogether.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes,
Norman
I
turned
can.
off the mic. What kind of sound issues did you experience on set?
We didn't experience it on the set. We experienced it in post when we realized that we didn't have enough level specifically in that beautiful scene, that exterior walk and talk with our favorite leading man and the Japanese spy. It's a craft. It's a profession that you're writers, and you're learning on the job to do very complicated, demanding, specific jobs very, very fast. You'll be happy at the end, but it's stressful. Don't lose patience with each other. Help each other out. Here's a piece of advice that you probably have heard. Making television is absolutely a team sport.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Here's the mic. Go. Don't. Yes, come on.
Hanging.
Oh.
Oh,
Is this
I'm afraid to
Just
hold
to-
it.
Hand it over like a
Teresa?
I'm afraid to hold this now.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Teresa. I've always heard the advice that to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. What stories would you recommend that we should keep an eye peeled for this year?
What stories? I'm in the middle of this wonderful Salman Rushdie book, which is about a filmmaker who lives down in the village.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know.
sorry to put you on the spot.
Well, it's good to know something about acting, obviously, so you could read a little Stanislavski or what's our girl from the Actors Studio. And also, it wouldn't hurt to read. Well, first it's called An Actor Prepares, but the book that's evading me now and eluding me is by a wonderful director whose name from the 40s, George Cukor or Capra, Frank Capra's book.
Frank Capra. Name
Yeah.
above the title.
Yeah, name above the title.
Right.
But it's really a writer's it's a writer's medium. You guys, I'm just concerned. The reason I'm talking specifically about these on-set jobs that you're going to be asked to do is that you'll find that the more familiar you are with the equipment, the faster your day will go. Who's directing this year?
A guy named Don Wells.
And he knows what he's doing. He'll come in and help you.
Just coming out of rehab, so. Oh, no. He's great. He knows his way around. He did one last year. Terrific guy.
Well, then,
and
you'll
a cheerleader.
I think
a cheerleader. No, I mean he's a real cheerleader, and wonderful. Like you, it's you can get directors who are just nutsies. But this guy, I think I speak for everyone when I say he's a real aura about him. He loves doing this, and he's all in.
That's fantastic. And how's the budget?
The same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
And it's going to be a period piece. If it's a blacklist period, is it the 50s?
Yeah. But we're containing it. We're gonna. It takes place on a kids show in 1950, the 50s, and around the time of the Army McCarthy hearings, and it is eventually the host of the kids, like Bob, the host of the kids show is gonna with that brush. She has nothing to do with it. Killing, eating.
That's fantastic. Do you have any?
Like
do you have
a Trump-like rally.
Are there any exteriors?
Two now?
Couple. How many exteriors?
And are there any night exteriors?
Yes, they're both exteriors.
Both.
Are both night exteriors?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's demanding, time-consuming equipment, but that's sort of falls into Larry's world.
Be in the same place, so we don't have to make a move. It's all
So are
going
you
to be.
going to use that theater that we shot the
Yeah, exactly.
the interpretive?
That's not the exterior.
No, that's the
That's the studio for the show.
that for the show, the kids show.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So
the night exterior will be challenging. Make sure you dress in layers. Wear a hat. Everybody bring gloves. Don't let your feet get wet.
Okay, this is Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hi. I have two questions. First is that I'm the wardrobe supervisor. So did you guys have anything happen with wardrobe that you would want to pass on as advice to myself so that maybe I could avoid some pitfalls that you guys experienced?
That's a
Finding Nazi reenactors, right?
Yeah, make sure your actors fit your clothes because you're going to have your clothes first.
Okay.
I mean, the period you're going to pull, I would imagine, some generous costume house is going to help you. And then
We're getting accurate as we can. The women are easier than the men to find.
and how many people are on your team?
2.
Oh, really? Can anybody sew?
I can.
Because, I mean, I kid, but I think on our OSS show, we literally had to find people who fit in. That was uniforms. But when, so you're going to be challenged by people who are off size, either in one direction or the other.
Okay.
Because I believe you'll have the clothes before you'll have the actors.
Not to, but we might end up with that.
And don't worry too much about the shoes.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
it's important, but it's not as important as you might think, because a lot of this ends up in close-up. It'll look great, but don't make yourself crazy about the shoes as long as they're nondescript.
Okay.
And make sure they fit. It's more important they fit than be perfect, period.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And then my second question is that, like, my career trajectory, I don't want to just write, I also want to direct. So what advice do you, like, what words of wisdom do you have for someone who wants to go that route, since you've directed?
I think it's the most logical connection is to become a director as a writer. I would spend it, well, as you're going to next month, spend as much time on the set as you can,
Mm-hmm.
and on other people's sets. There's a lot to be learned by observing, not so much about, I'm not a big fan of theory. I think you'll find that watching directors stage a scene, decide what kind of coverage they need or how much coverage they need, communicating the notes to the actors and keeping the morale up is the most valuable part of the director's job. You're going to understand the story, and you're going to be able to help directors all through your career with telling the story.
Okay.
But there are, as it sounds like with the gentleman who's coming in, if there's a enthusiastic, passionate energy on the floor, everybody benefits, and I feel that that's the director's responsibility. That and
Okay.
saying action and cut. That's it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Gordon Karen,
Yes.
told it he was directing a film with Warren Beatty, and I've got it was a Catherine Hepburn was in it. It was, and he came out the first day, and the DP was gun Academy Awards based or DP Connie. Do you remember this guy? Anyway, huh?
Connie Hall.
Connie Hall, Conrad Hall. So he comes in and he's got a whole shot list, and he said, "Okay, first we go here, and then we come around, and then we do the master." And Connie Hall is just staring at him.
Yeah.
About halfway down the page, and he looks up, and Connie Hall says to him, "Law school?" That's such a great. So he had just over. It was such that the chemistry that you got. You were such rallied our troops, and I think Dunn is the same way. If I'm not working out of school, he really loves doing this, and his enthusiasm, like yours, just went out. And
It's also great to have Larry, who is a calm professional.
Well, he's had a nervous breakdown, so he's different now.
He's different now, but maybe so.
He's fine. No, that's a firm hand.
Is Kamur working with you?
Who?
Kamur.
Yeah. I'm listening to that. Yeah, I told you. She said you were the most wonderful white person she knew. So I rest my case. Yes, she's probably looking in right now. She said, "Why didn't respond to me?" So you want to tell any stories about Patrick Stewart?
I'd love to. Let me tell you a story about the time that Michael Dorn, who played Worf, the Klingon turtlehead, was so fed up with Patrick Stewart never looking him in the eye on the bridge that he came on to his station at the back of the horseshoe on the Enterprise with a raw egg and smacked it down on Patrick Stewart's old Baldy's skull, and the albumin and the milk just drained down Sir Patrick's visage. Fact or fiction?
It's Chris again.
Hey, so I know you directed recently Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
How it felt to be back in the universe again, in the director seat, and I don't know, and it's also a question about episodic directing as well, like directing for television, because I know that the pilot is the one that kind of set the whole series. So what's it like to kind of step in to subsequent episodes and direct those too?
That's a great question. The job of a television director, if you're not directing the pilot, is to deliver an episode of the show that you've been assigned to do. I used to do a show called Castle. On Castle, there were always 3 sizes of close-ups, and the producing director said, "Don't waste anybody's time with a multiple stop moving master, because we never use any of that shit, and that's the way you shoot this show." I also directed a series called Falling Skies, which was meant to be shot in a handheld war documentary style, where you stayed in a shot as long as you possibly could, and you didn't have to see everybody say every line, and you followed people around, which had an entirely different gestalt. The challenge and the exciting part of directing television is that your job, even though you are not required or expected to put your own visual imprint on a show, is that you need to embrace the style of the show, so that when people are bonking through the dials, they can say, "Oh, that's Burn Notice," or "That's Star Trek," or "That's Big Bang." And they recognize the look, the style, the shooting, the flavor, the cutting sequence, the colors, the lighting. And frankly, if you take it too far afield, you don't get asked back. How was that answered, Norman?
I thought that was beautiful, and I'm going to segue into your show, Roswell. Okay, and then
It's being rebooted on the CW, I read.
Really?
That's what I just read that last.
How did you? Because this group is, as you know, writing pilots.
Yeah.
And to imagine something that's going to have legs and go for. Well, how did you approach that? You had a hand in.
I was brought a sort of a teenage novel called Roswell High, and because I had a deal at Paramount because of the success of First Contact, I had a first look deal, and they passed, so we took it to Fox. And hi, Bean.
Hi, are you in the middle of it?
I'm talking to Norman Steinberg and his class.
Okay, I gotta go get the orphan now.
Come in and say hello.
Oh, at the other house? Oh. Okay. She's got to go meet the Orkin man. We got rat issues.
Oh. Okay.
So I timed this pretty well, didn't I?
Beautifully.
Is that Roswell?
Is that cheating?
I was as a non-writing producer, to be perfectly candid, I didn't have much to do with it. They assigned Jason Katims, who did Friday Night Lights.
Directed it.
I directed it, yeah. And I also was able to add the wonderful Ronald Moore to the writing staff, who had written First Contact and now writes Outlander and Battlestar Galactica. So I was able, as a producer, to combine some forces. But it's another example of what I said a little while ago. It is all about being a writer. And as a producer, I got the elbow the old Spanish archer, because I was not a writing producer. So I came in and directed a number of episodes and got my executive producing credit. But the writers are the power. The writers are the brains, and they want fewer voices, and they want their voices to be where you guys are, right there in the writer's room.
So how is working with Seth MacFarlane?
Seth he's one of those writers who has total control in a positive, gentleman's way. He knows who the characters are. He's the producer of the show. He's the writer of the show. He's the star of the show. And he's the reason that Fox has given him, what, $30–40 million to make this show. It's because he has dreamed of being a starship captain since he was 9 years old. And he just happens to have made, I would say without exaggerating, hundreds of millions of dollars for Fox with Family Guy and American Dad and the Ted movies. And so when he said, I want to do this show, Fox said, yes. I don't believe that anyone suspected it was going to be quite as successful as it has been.
But Orville is a...
The Orville.
Yeah.
I will tell you this about Seth MacFarlane, who I adore. Have you ever worked with him or met him?
No. I'll be singing duets with him.
He loves to sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He sounds like Bublé, like Michael Bublé. But he is I know it's part of the director's job is to talk to the actors, and there's a fine line that you often hear about where a writer says to the director, could you please tell the actor this? Or the writer will disrespect the director and just walk right by him and go to the actor and said, here's what this intention is, or here's how this line is meant to be read. And it becomes a power struggle. On Seth's set, I learned very quickly that it's that line doesn't exist. So if Seth wants to give a note to another actor about something that he's written in a scene that he's in with that other actor, it's just more fluid to let it happen from the creator of the show. And the people who struggle with that, who bounce against that, who have problems with that, didn't really last very long in that environment. There are other sets where the star of the show is not the writer, and the writer is at a chair next to the director, and the communication takes place in a different order, where the writer, generally not the showrunner, but the writer who wrote that particular episode, will say, so-and-so to try this, or mostly they find themselves offended that their lines are not being spoken the way they're written. And I usually make a speech at the beginning of each day or at the beginning of each show that we have a responsibility to do what the writers have written, because they've been living with these characters and with this story and with this script for months and months and months. And the idea that you last night or this morning when you read the script, you think you have a better version of it, may or may not be true, but your responsibility is to honor and respect what the writer has written. And then if we struggle, we'll find a way to. But the idea of changing what a writer has done and worked on and given his, heart and soul and blood to, with not even giving it the respect to try it, to try to make it work, is that's an anathema to me. I find it's what makes people hate actors.
Well,
I got a good name dropper story now. I had the privilege, I think I've told you this before, of working with Sir Ben Kingsley on the ill-fated Thunderbirds. Kingsley had the philosophy that his responsibility as an actor was to make the writer's words work, and only if he couldn't find a way to do that would he even ask for a change or ask to rethink it. And this is Gandhi.
Yes, sir.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, I found Peter O'Toole's that way as well.
Yeah, right.
So much respect for, and he would make suggestions and ask if that would be all right. He made was the right one, except for one. And he said to the director, Richard Benjamin, it'd be okay in this scene. He was in bed with two women. A frock. I do you mean a dress? Said, why, yes. Why, no. He said, perfectly fine. Moving on. That is my feeling always on the shows that I've done is give me what we wrote.
You've got to. And the actors who don't respect that are the ones that make us dislike actors.
Yeah. Once we have it.
Yes, exactly. And and that's true of the interpretation of the scene as well. To go back to Kingsley, he'd say, once you have a print, do you mind if I play with one? Do I mind if you play with the take? You from Sexy Beast? I mean, one of our greatest actors. I'd be thrilled for you to play with a take.
Absolutely. No, that's but that's the fun of production. And you'll find this with even the production that we're doing. They'll say, "Could I try this?" And if the director let's do it. It's not even film now, So
the other thing about the projects that you guys do at the workshop is you get actors who are excited about being part of the process, who are not jaded, who are not doing it for the money, who are anxious to be given the opportunity to play these roles. And I think like Kevin. I mean, Kevin was our leader in 2 of our movies.
Yeah.
And that attitude makes him part of the teaching process, really.
Oh, it was wonderful. And by the way, he's moved to Williamstown. So he lives in Williamstown.
You could feel that coming.
Yeah. We got more. Do you have time? Do you have a little time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, it's Teresa again. So I am a huge fan of Adventure Time, and I want to know a little bit about your experience voicing Adult Finn, because the episode you were in was my absolute favorite. Really weird one, too.
I didn't know what Adventure Time was until I got called in to play the voice. And you're very gentle to call him Adult Finn. Isn't the character called Old Finn?
Old Finn, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that it was part of such a significant part of kind of the stoner adult culture, that Adventure Time. Yeah, it's grown on me. I do a lot of these conventions, and you can see the hip people come in and mention Adventure Time or Gargoyles as their favorite part of my alleged resume, and not.
Okay.
Oh, I think we lost him for
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Oh, he's there? Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Wait. Hello?
There we go.
I think we lost.
Oh, okay, there we go.
But, we're back. We have another Eddie.
Thank you.
That's your intro. Hi. You spoke earlier about directing TV shows that after the pilot kind of has its formula, and now you just said something about doing money. I just kind of want to know, what would your dream, what TV show would you dream is your dream direct right now?
I'd like to do Fargo. which I'm crazy about.
Oh, love that. Yes.
I can put in a word for you with the producer.
I wish you would.
You know, Warren Littleville.
I love that show, and I just finished Stranger Things last night, which I also loved. I love Ray Donovan.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about this show Scottish show called Sheffield. Have you seen this show?
No. Sounds like a show about cutlery.
Yeah. It's a crime drama, but it's shot in this island off of Scotland. It's a little bit like Happy Valley, which is in Yorkshire, which is spectacular. I'd like to do one of those. I'd like to do Westworld.
I think that would be perfect for you. Westworld.
I want to do a musical. Doesn't everybody want to do a musical? Or is it just you and me, Norman?
No. I know you do. No,
I know I do.
You know what? That's still in there. That's available for you. I tell you, if you walked in and auditioned to do that, you'd be on Broadway.
Okay.
People, and you know what they said? You know Neil Simon's story about Equus?
No.
Equus running forever? Name
No.
horses. Did you hear that? Are what amounts to a name horse.
Everett McGill.
People know you, and they could. That's part of the advertisement. This guy can sing. I know you can sing. I've heard you sing. So, well,
We used to sing in the car, didn't we?
yeah, absolutely. Why not
Who's going to drive you back and forth to work?
drive back and forth on the island and before we started drinking?
Yes.
Other questions? All right, we're not gonna hold you, but this was wonderful. Are you gonna be there for a couple of minutes? I want to call you because I have some to tell you about.
Thank you guys, and good luck. Don't forget to play nice and help each other out, because it can be a blast what you're about to do.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Hey.